From rookie to all-pro. Football. From rookie to all-pro. Written by Don Smith. All the players in the National Football League start the season with a common goal, the Super Bowl. This is the biggest game of them all. To play in it means you are the best. To win it means you are the world champion. There's a lot of money to be made, but more important to the athletes is the pride of playing in football's World Series. Hundreds of players dream of reaching the Super Bowl each season. Only a few make it. But for each and every one of them, that dream begins on a hot summer day when they report to training camp. Every rookie is a little nervous and frightened the day he walks into his first professional training camp. Most of these young men were great stars in high school and college football. Some of them even made All-American. But starting with this first day, they are in the big leagues. And as the saying goes, it's a whole new ball game. What they did in high school and college doesn't matter now. There's a new challenge ahead of them. Most will fail to make it in the NFL. But on this first day, no one thinks in terms of failure. There's a very special moment for rookies in the National Football League. It comes when they suit up for the first time and jog out onto the practice field along with the famous veterans. It's an experience most of them remember years later. Many regard it as a new adventure. They're all a little scared inside, but usually they're too excited to notice the butterflies in their stomachs. The only thing that matters is that they are here. Now it's up to them to prove they belong in the toughest football league in the world. Pro training camps are well organized. Everything is done on a minute-by-minute schedule. Wake-up time is 7 o'clock each morning. By 7:30, most of the squad is at breakfast. It's important to begin the day with a good breakfast. So the players have a choice of fruit and fruit juices, hot and cold cereal, bacon and eggs, toast and rolls, and coffee or milk. The rookie soon learns he must be present at every meal. There are no exceptions to this rule. If a player misses a meal, the coach might fine him $50 or $100. That's enough to teach anybody a lesson. After breakfast, players report to the gym to pick up their equipment. They are issued sweat socks, t-shirts, thigh, hip, and shoulder pads, pants, jerseys, cleats, and shiny helmets. The equipment man is a hard worker. He is in the gym before breakfast to see that everything is ready for the day's practice. Often he is helped by teenage boys who have summer jobs in camp. They work hard too, but they don't mind. The job is fun, and it gives them a chance to meet most of the famous NFL players they read about and see on television. A rookie soon learns the importance of maintaining good muscle tone. Football is a rugged game, and it takes a well-conditioned body to play it. Most of all, it takes stamina and strong legs. Training camps have all kinds of equipment to keep the players in top shape. The bicycle machine strengthens the upper leg, and the resistor machine helps condition the knee. Sometimes the team doctor or the trainer will draw up a special program for a player to follow each day. Then it's up to the athlete to see that he does the exercises on schedule. Defensive linemen need strong arms and shoulders to fight off those big offensive blockers. One way to increase upper body power is by daily weightlifting exercises on this universal gym. Players can start by lifting 50 or 60 pounds and gradually build up to over 100 pounds. The secret is not how much you lift, but rather how often you repeat the exercises. Usually a few minutes of hard work before practice is enough to build muscles. This also aids in improving overall blood circulation and increases body stamina. It takes brains as well as muscles to play pro football. In camp, rookies must learn many different plays and formations. To make sure that each man knows his assignment for the day, the coaches hold brief squad meetings in the gym before practice. If a player has any questions, this is the time to ask them. Once practice starts out on the field, there's not much time to take a peek at the playbook. At that point, a player should have his individual assignment well memorized. The team can't wait for one man. While the players meet with their coaches before the morning practice, the equipment manager makes last-second repairs on some helmets. It's important that each piece of equipment be in working order before the rough body contact begins on the practice field. Safety first is the motto of the pros. And the best way to keep things safe and to avoid injury in this hard-hitting sport is to give each player the latest in protective gear. This is one of the reasons why there are so few serious injuries in the NFL each season. Every training camp practice begins with calisthenics or loosening up exercises. Sometimes an assistant coach leads these exercises, and sometimes the job falls to the players who are the team captains. The squad does sit-ups, push-ups, and many other exercises. These drills take only a few minutes, but they are very helpful in loosening up arm and leg muscles. This prevents muscle pulls and leg cramps once the heavy practice work starts. A body is like an auto engine in wintertime. It must be warmed up gradually before it hits on all cylinders. Veteran players realize it pays to do a little extra loosening up on their own. This is the mark of the outstanding stars in the National Football League. They push themselves to the limit, whether in practice or in a game. They have learned from experience that a man gets out of the sport only what he puts into it. The real pros will run that extra 10 yards in the wind sprints or stay out after practice to work on some part of their game. The rookies also learn that there are no shortcuts to the top in professional football. Long before the start of training camp, the head coach and his staff have carefully mapped out the schedule of each practice. Nothing is left to chance. One drill starts promptly at 10:07 a.m., and the next one begins at 10:08 on some other part of the field. Everything runs like clockwork, and the coaches are there to see that it does. Time is too precious to allow any wasted effort once the whistle blows. But if a young player has a problem or needs advice out on the field, he knows there is a coach nearby who is willing to help. Blocking is an important part of football on any level, high school, college, or professional. The rookie lineman spends a large part of every practice hitting the colorful blocking dummies to improve his timing and footwork. Yes, footwork. The feet are what make a great blocker. An assistant coach, usually a former NFL line star, is always on hand to look for flaws in technique. Bad habits formed in training camp or in practice are likely to be carried over into real games. You don't get to the Super Bowl if you can't block. No drill takes place in a pro training camp until a coach has explained it clearly to his players. Here, an assistant coach demonstrates the proper form for pass blocking. Head up, body relaxed, legs spread for better balance. He also instructs his players that when they block against each other, they must keep one foot on each side of the board. The boards are used in this drill to remind the linemen not to cross their feet while blocking and not to fall into the habit of taking a narrow stance. Sooner or later, Every practice boils down to man against man. This is what the game of football is all about. Body contact tells how much desire a man has. The coaches watch closely to see if the rookie players back down in the face of physical punishment. In some camps, this kind of drill is known as being in the pit. There's no place to hide. It's you against him, man to man. The hot summer sun can drain a man of his energy and his strength in these blocking sessions. Sometimes a fellow feels like lying down and quitting, but no one ever does. Linebackers in the National Football League are all big. Most are at least 6'3" and 230 pounds. The really good ones are also very quick. Not fast like a sprinter in track, but quick getting from one area to another. Most improve their quickness against this one-man blocking sled. On a signal from the coach, the linebacker drives into the sled with what is known as a forearm shiver. He hits the sled with his arms extended and keeps his feet pumping. This is how he learns to straighten up an offensive foe in a real game. At another signal from the coach on the sled, the linebacker stops driving into the machine and peels off or runs to the left or right. The coach indicates which way he's to go by a movement of his hand or by shouting left or right. This is the second half of the drill. It teaches the linebacker to pursue the play no matter where the ball goes. The coach rates each linebacker on how sharply he hits the sled with his forearms and on how quickly he gets into the pursuit lane. All this requires agility and reaction rather than sheer speed. The big, slower-moving linemen also work to improve their agility in training camp drills, such as this one. Lateral movement is just as important as straight-ahead speed. More than half the plays in a typical game go toward the sideline. In this drill, a lineman works against a teammate using a plastic blocking shield. As he hand fights the shield, the lineman moves to the side, carefully stepping over a series of blocking dummies that act as a kind of obstacle course. He must do this without looking down. It takes a lot of practice. The quarterback is the key man on every professional team. Protecting him is the main job of all offensive linemen. The center's task is extra tough. He must first snap the ball and then be ready to block against a red-dogging or rushing linebacker or a crashing tackle. Drills like this one help the center learn to make the snap and then look quickly for the man he must block. The center is taught first that he must make sure he gets the ball to the quarterback before he starts blocking. A coach watches to point out mistakes. Most coaches won't risk getting their quarterbacks injured in training camp scrimmages. So when it comes time to hit, the quarterback puts on a red jersey. This means hands off for the defensive players. They are allowed to hit anyone except the quarterback. These scrimmage sessions can get pretty rough, since every man on the field is competing for a job. Sometimes as many as 90 players are trying to make the final roster. But there are only 40 places open. In these contact sessions, roommates often become friendly enemies across the line. The place kicker is almost as important to the team as the quarterback. He can score a lot of points with his toe. Part of every practice in training camp is devoted to the kickers and the special kicking units. The kicker and the man who holds the ball for him work to perfect their teamwork. In a game, they will have less than 2 seconds to get the kick away. Sometimes the coaches will put a volleyball net right in front of the kicker in these drills to make him get the ball up in the air quicker. By doing this, his kicks won't be blocked in a real game. A long, hard practice in the muggy July heat takes its toll. Even athletes in good physical condition are tired and sore. Their legs often feel like 2 heavy logs. Their bodies ache from 100 tackles and blocks. Their throats are dry from the summer dust. Often after a practice, the players will sit on a bench in the cool locker room and gather their strength. Then they peel the adhesive tape off their ankles and knees. Next, they take off their soggy uniforms. Players who have injuries report to the trainer. A cold shower helps. So does the thought of lunch. Pro football players eat well but wisely. Lunch is a refreshing meal and light. No one wants to eat too much because there's still another practice on the day's schedule. Usually lunch starts with hot soup and a cool salad of lettuce and tomatoes. But there's no spicy dressing for the salad. It's too hard to digest. Next come cold cuts like ham and roast beef, assorted cheeses, tuna fish and bread and rolls. Players can drink fruit juices, lemonade, iced tea, or even hot coffee. No milk at lunch, though. A pro training camp is like a football school. Players spend more time in classrooms than they do on the practice field. The rookie who fails to do his homework with a team playbook soon falls behind the rest of his teammates. The playbook contains hundreds of plays and formations. It is also a guide for training camp rules. It gives the schedule for meals, the time of meetings, and other helpful information. Rookies often study their playbooks in their dormitory room after lunch. The playbook is never far from their reach. There is time after lunch for other things too, like writing letters home, or reading a book, or maybe a friendly game of cards. Players also use this period to take short naps before the start of afternoon practice. By 2:30 in the afternoon, most of them are on their way to the gym to get their ankles taped and to suit up for another long practice. The only difference is that they usually don't have to wear pads for the second practice. Most of the physical contact work takes place in the morning workout. Training camp is not all work. Sometimes the pro players treat their young fans to a demonstration or clinic after practice. They show the boys how to throw a forward pass, how to center the ball, and how to kick. Often, several boys will be picked out of the crowd to work right along with the players on the field. After the clinic, the players answer questions about football. It's a lot of fun for the young fans. It gives them a chance to learn more about their favorite game. Usually, the boys and girls who visit a pro football training camp must sit in the stands or stay behind a fence while practice takes place. But when the players hold a clinic, everyone is allowed out on the playing field. This gives the youngsters an idea of what it's like to be right in the huddle during a game. They can hear the quarterback call signals, and they can see everything that happens. Best of all, they can almost reach out and touch some of their NFL heroes. It's something to tell their schoolmates about in September. Most pro football players enjoy signing autographs for their young fans after practice. It wasn't too long ago that they were kids themselves, and they remember what it was like to stand outside a stadium or a practice field for hours and wait to see their favorite players. It is sometimes a new experience for the young rookie players, since they are not used to having anyone ask for their autograph. Often a star player will sign autographs for half an hour, even though he may be hot and tired after a tough practice. This fan obviously has stars in his eyes as he gets the autograph of his favorite player at training camp. Maybe he's looking forward to the day when he will be playing in the National Football League. Then it will be his turn to throw the winning touchdown pass, or to kick the winning field goal. Then it will be his turn to hear the cheers of the packed stadium on a Sunday afternoon and to see his picture on the sports pages. And maybe someday he will stop after practice and sign an autograph for another young boy. And for those young football players willing to work hard and to pay the price in sweat and dedication, there is always the dream of one day playing in the big one, in the Super Bowl, the World Series of football. It's a long way from the sandlots and the high school gridirons to the Super Bowl. And it's a long way from rookie to all-pro in the National Football League. But a lot of boys will make it just the same. The boys with ability and faith and maybe a little luck. A little luck never hurts, no matter how good you are.